All right, call to order the committee of the whole meeting for January 21st, 2025. It's 7:54 PM. Can I have a roll call, please?
Right.
Yes, here,
Simon.
here,
Fox.
here,
Eddie. Here. Malaco.
here. Yes.
Okay, so tonight is sort of our big sort of first discussion about the budgets and operational budgets and everything else on here. We've sort of, we previously had discussions about generally about capital projects in general.
We haven't approved
Oh.
the minutes.
Hey, motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
Are you laying over?
Huh?
Are we laying over this one?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
Malaco.
Yes.
Eddie. Yes. Fox.
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Too excited. I've been doing this for the last months. Okay, next item is the comment. Is there anybody here for the comments? All right. Now, if we can have a discussion of the fiscal year 2025 budgets. Appropriation, essentially just the budget we're talking about here.
If I may
So-
make some
Okay.
observations, yes, when Joe indicated living with this for months, it was a great undertaking, a great deal of work to consolidate account numbers because there were several different ways in which we tracked spending. So it was to integrate as well as define what would go into those account numbers and get it all in one spot. And a lot of work was also done by staff members here who also were living and breathing this for the last of the months. And it wasn't, I want to thank them for doing it. It was not so much a labor of love, but out of necessity. And so what we have here is something that is far more visible, highly researchable, and what we can
And public, it'd be very
in public. So thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
And thank you, Joe, for doing
Yeah.
this.
So if you got, in front of you, you've got that little handout, it's sort of the initial, what we're talking about here with that, and this, thank you. So we started months ago on this, going through previously, and I'm sure you've all seen it, or maybe you haven't, but we have multiple different account numbers, multiple ways of tracking budgets. What you see in your bill list, or the bill list is, those are from our Casella system, which is our finance system. That's a whole set of numbers, hundred thousands, now about hundreds of numbers that have expanded and changed over the years, that have been updated, not updated, have been, there's multiple same exact names of account numbers. So that is what the official finance system is here, like where all of our invoices go into, all the bills go into. It's also what staff, when they get the bills come in, so most of our administrative staff, we've got our administrative assistants in each department who enter bills. Those are all going into that system. So all they're seeing is these hundreds and hundreds of line items, those account numbers. And so they've got to make sure they put those in the correct ones, and sometimes they get off a little bit or they don't quite match up. What department heads generally see is what you guys mostly see during the budget process is that year to date, is that so that spreadsheet we see saying here's how much our accounts are, here's what our budget is, right? Here's where our planned budget is. That's what Troy and Sam and me and all the staff here, when we do it, we see that budget sheet, that worksheet. Again, that's something that's completely different as well. I'm sure you've noticed, I think it got switched about halfway through the year now, but that had all the same account numbers. I have the numbers were all the same on things. And there'd be maybe 3 or 4 different items of actual names on there. So a staff, department head would plan for special, oh, it's a good one. I think Sam's is a good one, but the 911 and the KRMS, right? So that's listed on there, 911 call center, KRMS. So it's on your last year's budget. If you actually look at those account numbers, they're the same account number. So when a bill comes in, it gets entered into that same account. So it just gets in that pool, that we spent X number of dollars in that pool. If you actually look at the accounting system under that name, that one was a good one because it just shows up as contingency. So what the people entering the bill see is contingency with an account number. What, staff on their budget see is RMS and 911 call center. And then what you guys see on year to date is sort of a combination of both of that. That's, I think, mostly, Mark and Steve will sort of manually adjust those numbers and provide that year to date to you. So what you see on year to date is like sort of a combination of all of that, that they try to clean up and make good for you. So you can sort of see where we are generally. That's also why you would see in the past, there would be ones with, we're over 201% on this account. Well, that's because they only went onto the one, but not the other. And they all sort of got lumped into the same pool. So what we did, what I did, and what staff did, we went through. I sort of made the first rough pass at what you see on your first page, on your page, this page number 5 on your one handout. It's the numbering, it's that list of a chart there. So we got our main funds that we have. That's like the biggest pool. And then it goes sort of down into department, and then actually goes into object and then department. And so those objects there, we sort of combine those, and those are essentially what for financial report that goes to the state of Illinois. That's how we break those things out. So every single expense, every single account is in one of those objects. So in theory, you can compare now, we pull up information technology, we spent a lot on that. You pull that up, you can pull that one object up, and you can see what we spent on any given month across the village or across the year in that broad category. And then each of those you can divide down into departments. So for bigger picture things, you can sort of see those compare departments, compare how the village is spending. What we did was also consolidated and sort of standardized, for the most part, you're now a standardized set of account names. So we have, employee benefits are all the same across the board. We've got like there's training expenses. There are all those lists that you see in your spreadsheet or in your workbook here. All those, for the most part, are standardized across every single department where we can. There are a few, actually all departments have a few that are just specific to their departments. So we work with department heads. This idea, we want to track this from year to year, or if this is something special, we want to sort of see and sort of broken out. It matters that we're tracking this separately. For ones that didn't really matter that this specific item was tracked separately, those got put into like an operating expense or a contract expense, but for a broader category. But there are some in here that are specific to each department. Troy's got like a solid separate one. Stan has a few of them that he tracks separately. A good example is offhand, but body cam, Maxon, right? They have Maxon account. Yeah, like they go in subscriptions or IT. But because it's very specific thing to their department that you want to see how these prices sort of fluctuate over time, those are tracked separately by those departments. So that is what you have. So that was the process of going through all this, standardizing names, and then also we'll have a sort of a cheat sheet for all the departments to have when people are actually entering the bills. So we all consistently are entering the same type of bills into the same accounts. So again, you'll be able to compare department to department across years, across the year, months, whatever it is, and have sort of an equal comparison. And eventually we'll know how much it costs to operate whatever department we have, or how much we're spending in this one area across the village. You pull up one account, and all the bills from the departments should all be in that same general account name. So that was the big process of it. That's what took quite some time. Some of the things are still being tweaked in the accounting system, optics and purposes, but those are more for financial reporting purposes. But generally, that's what we have in the financial here. That's the first part. You'll see those as you go through everything. Next is on your packet, it's page 7. This question always comes up, and it's always about what number we're actually looking at for capital purchases. So that's sort of a one-page summary of where we're at budget-wise, revenue-wise, and then what's left over for capital expenditure-wise. So that first portion here you have is this is the budget as of the current budget in front of you, the draft we're at before any changes are made from the board tonight. Those are those objects we're talking about, salaries and wages, professional, typical consulting, information technology, employee expenses, benefits, private services, debt service. Those are those main categories. Those are all of our operating expenses for the year, ending up with $8.65 billion in operating expenses. So that is our things that we have to do. Those are things that we need to spend to run the village, right? That's what those numbers are there, our operating budget. Village of Roscoe has a fund balance reserve policy. So we've got our general fund that we sort of rolls over every year. Our policy that this board passed, I think it's 2022, says that we have to have 33% of our operating expenses have to be sort of held aside in that fund, in that general fund. It's your rainy day fund, I guess, right? For something were happening, or we had COVID or pandemic or something else, we could continue to operate where we weren't getting our payments from the state, because they're slow occasionally and they've gone on strike in the past, or haven't passed a budget in the past, an appropriation ordinance from statewide, it slows down our payments. So we're at that 33% 4 months of non-capital general fund operating expenses. That's how our ordinance is phrased, and worded, and our policy is phrased. And so that is what we need to hold in reserve at any given time. So you've got the breakdowns on the next section there. You've got total non-capital general fund expenses. That's the 8.6 I was talking about. The current or the estimated, and these numbers will tweak a little bit. They'll change slightly as Mark and Steve are finalizing the expenditures for 2024. But the ending fund balance for the general fund is $5.5 million. That's what we ended in sort of our reserve fund. That's what we've got in that fund as of December 31st, roughly, of 2024. Next item on there is the general fund required balance, which is at 33% of that operating expenditures. We get to $2.8 million. That's that reserve that we have to have by policy. Leaving about $2.6 million of funds that have to, or that we can spend outside of that reserve, $2.8 million. So that's that extra, if we wanted to, we have some years and past few years, we have transferred out of that general fund to cover expenses for the next years. We can transfer out of the general fund $2.6 million, in this case, to cover operating expenses or capital projects, which we'll talk about later on. Then it's the final block you have on there, which is sort of the big one that we always look at and always talk about. It's how much money do we have to spend on capital expenditures, right? Operating budget is here. Obviously, we can tweak it, but operating budget, you've got things we have to spend. So we move on to how much can we spend on our capital projects. And so the breakdown you've got listed out there. We have our revenues coming in, right? So we will make more money throughout the year. We'll receive tax dollars, we'll receive fines, we'll receive usage fees. All of that combined is $8.6 million. And that includes some restricted things, like we've got, that includes the grant, the outside grant funds coming in, the matching funds that include that. So some of it's restricted. That number, however, does not include, I pulled out, is MFTs, does not include MFTs. So you have your estimated revenue, which is also restricted funds, but you have your estimated revenues, capital fund balance. This is how much money we have December 31st, 2024 in your capital projects funds. Is that $1.4 million. So you can spend that down, you can keep in reserve, you can build it up over the years. There's big projects we want to work on. Okay, I have a plan, but that's what we're looking at, that $1.4 million. And then the expendable general fund balance, we were talking about previously, that $2.6 million that we can pull out of our general funds and still have our 33% reserve policy in place. Add all those numbers together, you get $12.4 million. Subtract out that 8.6, 8.7, actually 8.7 is the operating, all the expenditures operating. The $8.7 million, you get $3.7 million is our sort of money we can spend on capital projects. So we get the capital projects portion, that's the number that we'll be sort of looking at, and drawing down from, go through there.
Why do those two numbers not match?
So these are the, sort of calculated, these are the, operating ones. This number also includes the, there's expenditures one, also includes, I think some of the, there's some. I think some of the debt services in that one, that's not in here. I think I only have one item debt service that's not in there. I can get you I don't have the exact number that we're off by that 30,000 or so. But there's a couple of things that aren't included in that, in these top ones here that would be included in that file.
So if we wanted to dig into number 6, how do I see? How do I get
That one?
deep in?
That is in.
Like all of these? if
Yeah,
I wanted
all of
to see
these.
what was
Yeah,
in-
so I will present this tonight, but then in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
I
wanna be able
will
to dig into.
give you a demonstration, right? Yeah, I'll give you this right now.
You gonna do that big screen?
Yep. I get a big screen. Maybe.
Say real quick, I like the stuff and I do like this system. It's getting an Excel spreadsheet.
So here is the. I'm gonna minimize it and see what it looks like first. So this is what you get when you log in. Actually, you get. So this is the same mode that you have. This is the same permission, same everything that you would
Do
see.
guests or public have access to ClickUp?
They do not have, they will, and it's really nice too, but they will not have it until we publish the budget. Once we finalize a budget and publish it, they will. And there's actually some on the website right now that are like 20, we haven't used it for years, but the 2019 and 2018 might be on the budget right now on the website, our current website. So yeah, they can play around with it and see previously. And then once we finalize a budget, that will be published on the website as well, and you'll be able to see that as well.
From the website, I can get to ClearGov. And there's some kind of login you're saying?
For the public or for you? What was that?
You got it in your mail.
Yeah,
When?
I don't,
Send it on Friday.
I don't have that screen.
you should have this screen right there. Oh, that's different. Yeah, this is one where you should receive a login from ClearGov that gives you this, which is actually more than what you're. But yeah, I'll straight up.
Under that.
So-
I went through your email.
Little icon that I never look at.
Yeah, but then, yeah, there's a email from ClearGov directly though. Yeah, anyway, you will, so if you hit maximize and then, which makes it easier to look through things. And then you can drop down, these are all the salaries. Right now I have it sorted by, and by default, I have it sorting to the screen. You can sort it however you want. I actually have it preset for all the trustees to sort by department and object. It's just easier how I look at it, and so it makes it easier for me, but yeah, you can sort it separately too. I have my little small screen up here, so. So you've got your, I saw small screens, but, so here's the numbers. So what you'll have is you'll have all of these, you'll be able to actually drop down by department initially. If you want, so let's say here's administration, you'll have salaries and wages, here's all of our. You guys have access right now, this is not public, is you have access to all of the, like, every individual employee, their employee number and their FICA, their health insurance, dental, Delta, eye insurance, whatever, all that stuff is on there. You have access to that full. So I would say we chose contracted services. Here's SMTD, mass transit. So here's our SMTD, $25,000. That's the, so you can see those. We've got capital outlays right now because it's not decided. Here's IT, right? So you can open up the IT, you can see the different IT categories we have. Consulting, this is our Premier Technologies mouse here.
So that yellow column is our proposal.
Yellow column is the one that says, well, you can get better if it's on your screen, but this is the in progress column. You'll see there, it has all of our the breakdown of all of the numbers.
That's the, I proposed for this year.
That's proposed. This is the in progress that we can, change it tonight, discuss it, or if there's changes, as we go. There's these. What you'll also see on here is, so this is an account number, right? We've got this account number 5990 is, this case example would be, just if I heard what would be the software. So like on this one, I got, 5992 is our IT software we have. And so that's the account number. That's sort of the pool that everything goes in for the IT software for administration in the space. And then you have access to, and probably will have the public for the most part have access to all these as well. You have the Office 365 subscriptions. We have the itemizations, they're called. So these are all the numbers that build up into that software line item on here. So you'll actually get to see, you'll be able to see what we're spending on to make that number. It's not just, here's what we're spending for software this year. It's here's how we sort of figured out how we broke it down into that software. You have it on your, it's in the big book too, which I'll show with Justin's looking at too.
Yeah,
Is this what the public will see then?
Public will see, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
he's,
So what you've got, print that one. So what you've got in front of you, or what you've got on the screen here, is the really deep dive stuff. If you want to really get into it, look at all the in-depth things on sort and move and search and find wherever you want to see.
okay.
IPS, if you wanted to print a copy of it, I can print out.
Can you?
He really wants a computer.
It's really set up for a computer. Print it makes no sense.
This does
Yeah,
not.
it basically just printed the.
The budget book does. The budget book is actually a whole separate, printout for it. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it's a whole different issue, but. So yeah, this is definitely for computer analytics. So, you can search through here, you can see all the stuff, you can see the breakdowns of salaries, benefit, all different expenses, what goes into those expenses, you have access to that. So that's.
Can we
a good
make
way to-
notes and stuff in?
What?
Can we make notes? and
Oh,
stuff, or
yes,
do
good
we
point.
need
Yes,
to-
no, you may make notes. So, like if I choose, here's village board, here's your IT. Hardware purchases, right? So here's hardware purchases, trustee hardware replacement. So I think right now I've got 6, these are for laptops, right? So 6 $800 laptops is what the budget is for trustee hardware for next year. A good example right there. So we have that. So you got those here, so you can see that itemization, right? 6 times 800, that's the total number. Back up here, sorry. And then, so if you look at the dots on the side here, there's an actions column, that's just little dots on here. You can click add note or add comment. Comments are what you're probably wanting, if you're sending us sort of responses, you're probably wanting to hit add comments. Notes you'll see are usually from staff saying, this is why this number is bigger, this is why it's smaller, this is what goes into this number, why it's different than last year.
Global, if I put a note in there or a comment. Yay, it goes to everybody?
No, it will go to staff. Because otherwise it'd be open meetings act issue. So it will not go to you guys. It'll come to me, it'll come to whatever department head's part of it. So
We won't be able to.
no,
comment to
you cannot
ourselves.
comment to yourselves to it.
Good.
Correct.
Each other.
Correct. But if you're like, hey, Troy, why do you have this number on this, blah, 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 why, or what's this for? What, we've stuff street signs. The street signs include this. Can you check on that for me? Just include the entryway signs cover. That could be a comment on there. And then I'll get those. And then I think right now it's almost of the entire budgeting staff or department, really everybody in departments gets it. But they'll go to Troy and Troy can look at it. And then when we come to a board meeting, he can
Be prepared.
tell everybody, the whole group, yep, this covers this. If it's something small, we can probably call you directly or message you directly, but generally most of it's things everybody wants to know. So we'll be able to adjust those at the next board meeting for that. So that's what comments are. I think you can, I might turn it off. If you can add notes, I'm gonna turn it off for you because I don't want you to add notes. But notes really are for us to explain what an item is, why it's a number, why it's up, why it's lower, higher, all that kind of stuff, what goes into it. So it's really for staff to do it. I don't know if you guys can do it right now, but
So just comment.
just comment. Yeah, hit comment on there. It will send us those comments and then we'll have those. And again, those are foyable, all that kind of stuff. And those get stored in the system. There's an audit trail in the system. So all of this stuff gets saved in here. our audit trail is quite big this year because we've got all these different test budgets that get locked in, even though they're not, formal documents, but,
Is there a
That's-
save button or anything?
nope,
Just to-
everything's
As
safe.
soon as I put in a comment, it'll automatically fire out to you
Yeah.
guys.
I just can show you right now. So here's a comment. Is
I get to see everyone doing comments and then that
Yeah,
hits the
is this
save
enough?
button and then.
for the computer.
And it's your brain answer me.
Submit comment. There. That's it. So it came to me, submit comment, there it is.
So you do have to hit submit comment.
Apparently on that one.
Gotcha.
When we change, I guess when we do add numbers in there, that aren't gonna get saved, but comments you have to formally search. To watch that come to everybody right now, so. We'll see. We'll make sure it doesn't, it
But
does.
you'll have to contact us outside this.
Yeah, we would do that outside. the system. I think we could reply back in, but we want to make sure we is part of the same conversation. So that's what you have here. Yeah, these are the main objects, so search by those. If I got, this is what I said, the default. But this is the default for it, it's department object. If I turn off object, I just get to departments, so I get the entire department in one sort of line. It's easier to look at that for certain things. You can do that that way. Turn off departments, this is everything all in one, one big, long, continuous everything. And then usually you're gonna just use object and department. And if you want to sort by object, you just drag it where it says, you'll see it when you closer, but it says drag here to group. So I drag here to group, and now here's only by object, right? So I'll hit salaries. Here's all the salaries for all the departments, but in one spot. So it's just how preferences, how you want to look at it, as you're going through it, how you want to check it, what makes it easier for certain things.
How do you undo that? Or do
You just click,
close it and
off,
reopen
I
it?
can just, there's object, I can just click off that, now I'm back to everything in one long row. And
But
then-
everybody's is separate, right? So if I did that, I'm not doing it to everybody.
Correct. Yep, I set the initial view when you log into it, I set that initial view, but so it'll be the view I gave you, but you can change that, and once you change it, it will be your own. And if you can always hit reset view, it will go back to the view I gave you. Which is back to the department object. It's fairly it's intuitive, it's worked out pretty well. We took it was learning curve initially for all of us to like get into it and really sort of figure out how it all worked together, but I think after we've played with it for a while, I think we pretty much makes sense now. And then just for viewing only, which you'll be doing, it should be a little bit, easier. I would suggest maximizing this. That's a big thing I would say. Maximize there and you get the whole screen, it will help immensely here.
And we can export to Excel, correct?
Yes, there's an export button right here, as you just mentioned. You can export to Excel. I guess if you, I think it's generally easier to view it in here, but this will,
Well, if you want to,
if you want to run formulas, run whatever on it, you would do it that way. So that's what all those numbers are. Then, oh, you also, okay, last thing I'll have note right here. As you're going through, you might see things that have a little attachment. You might see one of those, there'll be a little, on that same, dot part, where it says comment, and you also may say attachment, if there's an attachment. So when you log in here, your main screen, one of the options here will be attachments. So if you want to just see all the attachments in a row, you can see attachments that were in here for various things. They're on here as well.
In our attachments, the justifications for the things we requested.
It'd be like those, a lot of times the justifications will be in the notes, but like this is from one I did. So this is the SMTD. So here's our SMTD request letter for this year saying, we want our $25,000 like we get every year. Okay, that's in here. So under the SMTD one, which we were looking at a minute ago, for the 25,000, there's also a little button that says attachments, and you'll see here's the SMTD. I think we've got, mostly I think it's more so you'll see the attachments in the capital budgets. You'll see a lot of the backup documentation, quotes, whatnot in there. But again, if there's things you want to see in the backup information or things you want to see, let us know in there as well.
You bet everybody else, Sam's calling in reinforcements.
and he's-
Here we go, can't stay here.
Examples will be, I guess those are the big, I guess those are the highlights, so I'll show you on how the system works. Yeah, play with your questions, may have to, show you things, but you can, yeah, it's really nice just to sort of go through and get the big ones and narrow it down. So that's the first thing. What you also have, sorry. Zoom. We also have the budget book. This is what the link that you guys got actually in that email. I'll give you a quick sort of summary of this and we'll get moving. So also in that email, you got, this is what Justin has pulled up. And I think what you guys have probably looked at. This is the budget, sort of the budget book. This is what Mike Wright actually has printed out there. So this is the. Let's see. All right, so this is the budget book that you've got. Eventually, I want to have actual budget book document. It's a formal thing. It's a thing that's sort of set by the Government Funds Official Association, like GFOA, or Treasury Association, GFOA, or Finance Association. They sort of have, here's what should be in a budget book, here's what you should make public, here's how you do your reporting. So they're the ones who sort of set all those standards. Eventually, we like to have an actual budget book that we have available to download, print copies of, whatever. We're not doing that this year. It's the first year we're using the system. So we sort of have we're using the same sort of software with it. So it's sort of a modified version of it. But like what was printed out from what you guys have, so a couple pages from it. What Mike has is the full version of this. And you can download this, you can print this. But this is, you have all of the stuff on it. This is all your information, all of your various accounts, departments detailed out. So you've got your fund balance policy, we can talk about that. Here's the general fund, sort of a summary. This is what's in your handout here. This is a summary of all the overall expenditures, all the overall revenues that we have coming for the village. So you can sort of see those numbers here. And then again, those numbers, those revenues, you can ask some other revenues, you can dig into them. Those are all on here as well. And funding sources, which is right here. So you can hit this. If there's never just a chart, there will always be a spreadsheet breakdown underneath it. And this is what you can see. Here's how we figured out fiscal year 2024 budgeted. Here's what all of the breakdown of all those revenues we get. These are what these are here. So you can go through and see how we figure those out. And those are with our village treasurer, Mark Olson, helps put those together. The estimates come from him on those.
Joe,
But
may I step in
Yes.
here? So some people have this open, some people don't.
Yep.
We just got this.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, everybody's sort of glazed over.
Yep.
We're going through these things. I'm following along, but I think what would be helpful is to have a tutorial, have some type of we do it online or something where we could come in and go through this in the make sure 101, basic 101, making sure everybody's logged on, make sure so we're all sort of looking at this very similar rather than, because I'm getting pieces here, pieces there.
I might hit some, some key things of how we have it printed out, have it here, and then,
It's a
We'll be
wonderful,
more than
it's a
happy to
wonderful
go
tool,
through
but
that,
it's
yeah.
just,
oh yeah, no,
keep
that's
somebody
why we
accountable.
expect you to sort of hit these highlights, and then we will definitely work through.
Because I think we should have some type of online training session, or maybe we could come in here, set tables up or something. It would be helpful.
Like a workshop.
Yeah.
How long do we have before we have to get the budget done?
Uh,
I know we're running out of time.
First 4 months.
So we
Yeah, first quarter, so end of by April, so
Just over 3 more months.
yeah, a few more months, yeah,
We get to the bottom line here.
all right.
Find a bottom line, Carol.
Bottom line,
Oh,
as you look at,
I guess it's a good time. Yeah, we get to that is I will have. Ignoring the software part, I'm gonna have the staff then just do a couple highlights of their budgets then. How we sift through those. But those are all by department here. You can click on department and see how like very in-depth, this is again, very in-depth of what and there's no logins for any of this stuff. This is stuff you have on that link. Very in-depth. Here's their entire budget, how they're set up. I throw to Troy. I start with yours. Are you ready to start with yours? I want people just like hit a few highlights and key highlights. Yes, you'll have time to look at it. Yes, you'll have questions for us, for me, for staff. But at least you can sort of have an idea of what we think is sort of important or what we think is sort of pay attention to, look at, see how we did this, other than the day-to-day, just.
So are we following along and?
Nope, you can just listen to Troy, not you.
So we're not gonna do like operational stuff, just want to go.
Operational, yeah, yep. Just hit operational, yeah.
What do you really, really want?
Or do you want capital?
I think we're start operational.
Operational, just a couple things.
There's a couple, yep.
Just a couple for, you see, for the highway streets and repair contracted services. That will be like, any of our major catch basin repair that we need, painting crosswalks of the roads. Bigger projects that Public Works short staff, or not short staff, but our smaller staff won't be able to get, so it's a contracted service. For the maintenance repairs, buildings and grounds, I have it broke out when you look in there. One of the things I put in there was the PD garage at Public Works is,
Does everybody know what that is when we say the PD garage?
it's the little two-car garage, it's like by their impound.
Yeah.
That we're putting that under for getting that re-roofed, re-shingled. It was in for this or 24, but it messed up with getting a bunch of prices that came, only one person came back. So it's gonna be different sort, so we're doing this, putting that in there. You'll see a big number for vehicle leases that we have through Enterprise. That's 10 vehicles through Public Works. We have 5 single axle tandems, 1 or single axle dumps, 1 big tandem, 750 or 550 the bucket truck, and the old administrative truck from here. So there's 10 vehicles for that. 250. I didn't put any vehicles in for this year. It's to be probably a 26 thing, because still they're having problems with their big trucks. Taking 2.5, almost 3 years for them to build.
And they
So,
being the manufacturers?
Yeah, the manufacturers, and then getting them to, say, Monroe Trucking that puts all the plow package on and stuff like that. So maybe something we look at next year for, obviously, 3 years, 2 years down the road. Parts-wise. Parts-wise, one of the main things for the buildings and grounds, we also have put on there for re-roof the smaller pavilion at Riverside Park. And then while we're out there, probably the bathrooms, that's the only other thing that needs to be shingled.
And that's a pavilion. Is that when we had an offer, I think, to donate some of the service on that, right? But just buy the shingles. So we have to pay something for that, but it's paid for the shingles, and we've got local business, Martin Stairs, who's offered to actually give us the labor on it. So it's great.
For the capital things, I
And
know
the
there's,
big pavilion gets torn down.
That is in your capital budget discussion? Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I think, yeah.
we're gonna get to that. The capital, I know there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a couple things that we can push, but a couple of the main things that needs to get done, I have in here, you'll see, at Leland Park to like, resurface, reseal and paint the tennis courts and the basketball court. You'll be able to see, like how Joe was talking about the attachments, I had pictures in there and then quotes from the company. Cause it's kind of getting towards a safety issue, and the way this winter's going, a lot more of the cracks are gonna get big and start heating. The pavilion at Riverside Park, cause obviously the one's safety issue of tearing down the big one. Another thing that I'd like is for Public Works, our training lunchroom area. redo the chairs because they're hand-me-downs from here to hand-me-downs us. You'll see pictures on there, the pleather or whatever you want to call it, when we get up sticks to like our backs and stuff like that. They're kind of old chairs and then like a TV like this so we can do more trainings, public works. Another big ticket item in there, I don't know, the Swanson Park baseball field lights. There's Swanson Park and Leland Park that we had, their lighting come through and did all this. They gave us a quote for there and then with the government and grants and stuff like that. But it was still like $80,000 for going all LED. Problem out there is if we don't do this, we're still gonna have to put a lot of money in there because one of their fields was unsafe for them to play at night. And that's one of those things that we're gonna have to get something big out to reach up like 65 feet, and we have nothing that big. So it's something.
Yeah, we get more in depth on the capital, but yeah, so
What's that?
as we get more in depth in the capitals. we can
Yeah,
have
that's-
discussion, but yeah, those are those.
That's the main thing.
highlights.
I have, zero turn mowers in there because they got really used this year because our big mower broke down. They're getting older. You'll see I have an enclosed trailer in there which is bigger one. We're running out of room in our public works building and this trailer will be able to keep everything locked up there outside. Especially over the winter time when we bring all the plows in, is what makes the trucks longer, so then we run out of space in the building. But, I mean, stuff like that can be pushed. The other thing that I have a star next to for our Class D patching contract. You'll see in there, it got bumped up to 100,000 since we skipped 24. And obviously, this is a brief overview. If you guys have any
We'll
questions,
talk more about that in a few minutes on that.
it's free to call, email, comments.
One of the things that they're cleared up as a snow chart metrics, does that have anything to do with like snowfall or plowing? What is that? It says it right on it.
No, I go for sure, those are, I think that's go year to year stuff. I think that's one of the ways. Year to year, but yeah, I guess I don't know for sure, but yeah. But I think
It's
that's,
under this section here. So
I'll have to look. I don't know. Check on that for you.
I think you had additional salt shed too, right?
Yeah, it's on there. That's, I think down the road with more housing or stuff like that, that could be pushed off to later. This is, a lot of the stuff I just kind of want to start
Yeah.
building our like 5-year plan or.
Yeah, it's good for us to know.
I guess for right now, any questions about operational, or just, I know you don't have like too much on this, but any general questions about day-to-day operational expenses, how things are, where things are. We've got I think submission signs are in this section, in the operational expenses, maintenance of the buildings, improvements, those aren't operational. Yeah.
My only question would be salaries. When are we gonna talk? When do you have information?
Salaries are in
Talk
here,
about that.
so those salaries are in here, right now, there's the requests are just 3% for salaries this year, cost of living, yeah, across the board.
Was there any,
Gotcha. This year, it's just been 3,
Reviews?
this year, there have been reviews, it works, we have not done reviews on here yet, though. So we can talk about that later on if you'd like, I absolutely. we can do
Usually
that.
we do an executive session.
Yeah,
for
I would like to do that, yep, but this year the proposals are just, yeah, everything matched up, yep, match up with the PDs.
As long as we have that other conversation.
Yep, we will absolutely do those, yep, yep, and then when we actually do we have the reviews, we'll present my reviews to you in closed session, and probably maybe some other ones from Rick, too, so.
Good.
Okay, Sam, do you wanna hit any
Yeah.
operational things?
Some of the stuff you're gonna see is ones we discussed earlier, Axon agreements. Our contracted services through Axon, that includes in subcategories, you'll see like our body cameras, tasers, storage is a huge thing. That's where a lot of the costs come from. I mean, it's not the body cameras and the tasers are usually cheaper of the items. It's the cloud storage, the amount of video data that gets uploaded in the cloud that is where all your expenses really are. We'll also have the Axon Fleet 3 squad cameras that we put in the squad last year. That contract will be in there. Axon drone, I believe that one expires in 26. We have the contract attached also. We're gonna end up, once that expires, get away from Axon for the drone stuff. We'll still utilize drones, but the software and cloud storage and stuff, it's just not practical for us, like for what our usage is, so. I'm not sure if you'll see, Joe, this is
Really
a
quick on the
question for
Axon.
04.
Or look on the Exxon, I think if we start playing, this year not replacing any cameras or
No.
doing that yet.
So part of
But-
our contract though is that after 2.5 years, we have a 5-year contract with Axon. By our contract, every 2.5 years, they replace the old cameras with new cameras for body cameras. These I have internal batteries to them. So after, 2.5 years of being charged and new equipment, new software, everything else, just like a cell phone or something. I mean, there's so many updates that happen with these that part of our contract is they replace the body cameras every 2.5 years. So we get one replacement. We actually just got our replacements now. These are the Axon body camera 4s. So we actually just implemented the change. The old cameras actually, it's our equipment, stays with us. We don't send anything back or anything. So same thing with the tasers as well.
And spot cams, do those, we own them or? we don't-
Yeah, I mean, Axon's kind of different. That's why we put it under its own separate
Yeah.
line item stuff is because the equipment itself, when we sign the contract, we're paying for the equipment, but we're also paying for storage and it's called evidence.com. That's what the officers can go in. We can create caseloads in there. If we have a citizen that has camera Ring doorbell or something, we can actually give them a email that they can actually just click on, included on that email, and it automatically gets shot into that caseload into evidence.com. So it's very handy. I mean, all of the cell phones, nothing is stored on cell phones. We do have SWAT cell phones, but if they're taking photos of anything, any evidence, nothing gets stored in the phones. They just go on evidence.com and they can take their photos and automatically puts it into the phone and then shoots it immediately into the cloud, and no storage is left on the phones, which for us is good because if we get a major case, I mean, not only is that phone foiable, which, or it can actually be taken as evidence at that point then too. So I mean, we would lose a lot of phones, and then officers sometimes will use their personal phones now in order to do this. And that bypasses their phones ever being used as evidence.com. So, or as evidence.
When do you look to replace Axon again? Sorry.
I believe it's kind of staggered. So body cameras, I believe, are going to be the end of 26.
So when the 2.5 years is.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, because we just re-upped our body cameras.
We have to buy all new equipment, right?
Yep. And then our Fleet 3s though, those are gonna be for another 5 years. Because that we just got last year installed. So that'll be a different contract under that. We had discussed with them, like trying to bring everything under one contract, which they said, great, but we're gonna do it our today's standards, and we're just gonna charge another $30-some thousand in order to bundle it all together. Like, no, that's
And
good.
you'll see some of that on, like, even though it's not a capital project, as we start planning, in March, I think we're gonna start planning. We'll try to get those 5 years out on that as well. So we'll have capital projects, but we're also like a capital improvement plan, right? Like CID, we're also gonna have, we'll have capital purchases as well. So we'll get those, what year out we start buying new cameras, buying new whatever, that will also be
Yep.
on that. Like, so we talked about this, we'll start this in March to do those.
That would be part of the notes.
This will be part of this. In March, we'll start actually doing a capital plan for you, working through it. In addition to like equipment improvements, we'll also have capital purchases. So we'll have 5 years out, here's when we're gonna buy these cameras, here's when guns get replaced, here's when vehicles get switched out or mowers get switched out. So that's part of this whole plan we're gonna start doing. We'll start that in March of this year.
As part of the notes, can you attach some of these contracts?
I think those are in there, correct?
They're in there.
So they are.
So when you go in there, if you click on it, all our Axon contracts are attached and which one you'll have, if you click on Axon Air, you'll see the Axon Air contract. If you click on body cameras, you'll see that contract. And we do have a couple like different body camera ones because we added officers, therefore we need to add cameras and everything else that comes with that. And those are, they're called core bundles. So that includes, you know, body camera, taser, evidence.com, cloud storage, officer sign in order to access evidence.com. So
Yeah, you'll see,
you'll
like,
see one new
Axon.
one there this year as well,
And then you'll-
for the officer that's in the academy right now. So we have one brand new one that will be at the bottom of it under a new contract.
I just saw that there somewhere. Here's the new, right, this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look on that, you'll get all of the agreements as well. Those are just right in your.
You just gotta flip your computer upside down.
Yeah, you'll see,
Good job.
you'll see in here, yeah, Axon agreements, I just click on the various things, and then you'll see the attachments will be right on.
I don't know if you'll see on your end, this is a joke, but like our account number is 01-040. There is a 01-041. And a lot of people say like crossing guard and stuff, but
Oh.
it's police and fire is
Yeah.
actual, and
Yeah.
they are under their own now. Line items and everything else are not attached to the police department anymore. However, for some reason they.
It's a
start to
weird
link
naming for a
with
reason.
us,
Yeah.
I see Chris.
And
So you'll see there's
Yeah.
crossing guard line item, which is in the police department, and that's the actual part-time pay for crossing guards. But then also there's a department, which Sam was saying is Department 41, you'll see, so it's 01, which is general fund, dash 41, which is departments. You'll see crossing guard department, so there's something we have to switch, you'll see there, but that is the police and fire, that's their budget, and working
You'll
with.
see like two ITs,
Yeah.
but keep in mind, there's a
One's for police and
40
fire.
and a 41.
Yeah.
The 41's police and fire
Yeah.
IT,
Yeah.
ours is the IT 40.
And talking to Leanne about that too, she was very excited to have a budget where she knows what she's spending, which I guess she didn't know previously, and so so she worked with us on this, and so the police and fire budget is in here, this is let's take this as their submitted budget for their approval as well, because this is from them, they've approved it on their end of it, they gave us the numbers. And again, the same standardized account names and numbers, but when you see that, this is their official request for their budget, you'll see it here, so.
So is there one for the clerk as well then?
Yeah, the list clerk is in there as well, that department's in there. Code enforcement, yeah, all these departments are broken out in here. Do you want to hit training really quick?
Yeah, I was just gonna hit IT first, which will end up being, you'll see hardware in there, especially. We have 4 new tough books that we're looking at purchasing. What this comes down to is we get a hold of Premier and just kind of ask them, hey, we have a lot of computers for offices and all squad cars, and so they have on a program, all of them are listed, and they can say, this computer's end of life, this computer's end of life, this one is. So we just go by their recommendations as to circulating those computers and take them out of circulation, and put the new ones in. So that way we don't come across it's gonna be 4 this year. Another thing you'll end up seeing in IT there, which you'll see in other sections as well, is other anticipated expenses. So we have like the dollar amount in there. So like last year, even though we were changing computers, the stuff that we have on our computers, we tend to burn through computers fast. So I think we had 2 or 3 in 24 that weren't even on the rotation that ended up burning out. Just the dead black screen that we ended up having, that we had to replace those. So if you see other anticipated expenses, it's just preparing for something in that line item that when something goes bad, we can, reactively have money in there.
And then this goes, go along with that, so this year, we'll be tracking expenses, you'll see them, so the budget from last year, budget of this year, it's roughly the same, right? You'll be able to see generally last year's, how it compares to this year. But I realize that we have switched some of the line items, we have sort of adjusted it a little bit, so that's when you also see if we have itemized something exactly, right? Here's all the exact things that we've spent. You'll see, like Sam was saying, other anticipated expenses in that line item based on, you know, all the small little things that might be in that line item, based on the direct review of their budgets. Because we can obviously pull up our,
So,
what we spend, and what our different vendors are, that's where all these numbers came from, but that's the unanticipated expenses, so it's
Just-
throughout the budget.
Just touching on training and seminars, that's gonna be a large item. We have some schools already planned out, such as, there's, instead of sending new sergeant or anything through staff and command, we're actually found another one through Northwestern. It's only a 2 week, but it's actually geared straight towards sergeants and not administration. We found that, you know, a new sergeant doesn't really need to go to staff and command and learn about how to create a budget or anything else. It's not something they're doing. But there is like classes through Northwestern that are specifically designed right towards sergeants and what they're gonna be doing for the first line supervisor. So stuff like that's in there. Accident reconstruction, as far as a reconstructionist. We have an officer that's been through a few weeks already in 24 where he wasn't able to finish the schooling. So we want to get him through that this year. Also, you're gonna see police academy. So police academies have gone up significantly. You know, police academy used to be 3 months, now it's 4 months with all the new required Safety Act stuff as far as the mandatory training. You're also gonna see in there too, instead of,
They get some reimbursements for for the police.
yes, yep, and so
Not guaranteed.
we are not guaranteed any money. So the state, depending on what money they have, we've been very lucky. All of our police academies so far have been reimbursed over the last, I'd say, I don't know how many years, 100%. Some agencies that are sending a lot of people, they're only getting 50, some of them aren't getting reimbursed at all. So it's always, you know, perhaps.
So we budget for the full amount of
It's flip a coin, how much you're gonna get, or if it's gonna be at 100% or not. Like I said, we've been very lucky and everything has been 100% all the way across the board. And I think that, I wanna say that the increase though, just for the academies are going up at least a minimum of 10% this year. And they had already figured in the extra month last year. But now it's just becoming much more stuff going on in the academy in order to hit these mandated state requirements. Also in there, you're gonna see a significant amount for anticipated spending. Additional anticipated expenses. The reason for that is we have 19 officers, 19 sworn, and in the state of Illinois, especially under the new Safety Act, we have 19 categories of minimum standards that we have to have each officer meet those standards. Some are required, 6 hours every 36 months. Some are required 8 hours once a year. And there's 19 categories. We have to keep track of what everybody is, because if anybody does not meet that category, and they'll give the dates as to how much points fall off as far as hours. And if any officer falls below that category now, these 19 mandated trainings, they will then become decertified and their police powers are taken away until they get to class. So they're completely useless to us. So we have to make sure, and then the problem is we have to make sure that, when there are these classes offered, because if it's, once every 36 months or once every 24 months, well, we have to make sure that we're staying ahead of the game by like a year to make sure that these classes are even an option that are being trained anywhere in this area in order to get those hours as to where they need to be. So then this is just the minimum standards for the officers to reach under the state guidelines. Now, we also have, once a year, we put everybody through rapid deployment, active shooter stuff. We put them through, we have CPR, we have, just a whole line, DUI, advanced DUI recognition. We just had to send an officer, we just had to pay for in order to go through armor school. Well, we have rifle armor school, we have pistol armor school. So we have all these other things that we have to have training money there for in order to send these officers through. then the 19 minimum standards that the state requires is just a touch of what we have to do for these officers. Juvenile school, there's just tons of stuff. And then that's not even anything that we want them to go to school for. And we're trying to get more in-house instructors, because when you're trying to hit these mandates, it's easier to be like, okay, well, we need, a rapid deployment class, or we need a medical response class, or we need a high-risk traffic stops, and we have to have, 4 hours of classroom, we have to have 4 hours of practical training. Well, it's easier than to get that officer that's an instructor, so we can set those programs up. And we've actually been working with Rockton and South Floyd as well, and trying to get joint instructors through our agencies, just so we can have our own in-house up north. We don't have to always count on the mobile training units. Everything has to go through MTU to get certified for a class. And we have those Scantrons that, it gets recognized by the Training Standards Board. But that way, we don't have to rely on them as much when they're gonna put out a class, because they always have money issues. Or the county, when they're gonna put on a class and they're trying to get all of their officers through it. So this just kind of gives us a little bit more, leeway in order to get our officers through the training that they need. So any questions on all that?
Thank
So
you.
periodically they get to ride around their car.
Every once in a while. So, and that's why also like our overtime budget goes up every year. It's not just, we do have seen an increase in severity of our calls, where we have had to have almost the whole police department come in order to cover the road and have crime scenes and everything else. But also, in that overtime budget, you'll see another subsection for, special events. We have to take that into consideration, how many officers, a parade, we have to have every officer that working for so many hours. We also have to send them to training. We can't do all the training when they're working. A lot of it, you can't have them run around rapid deployment for 8 hours, somebody has to answer the call, so we have to do stuff like that when they're off duty in order to hit those trainings. Another part of that is too, is it's not only the training money that we need then, but like I said, they have to have the time. to
You'll
go
see the
to it.
breakdowns of those.
I know
in there.
what I know.
A few more things.
Yeah,
Um,
Go ahead.
Just, yeah, but obviously Sam would be more than happy to talk for a long time about this. If you have questions, get hold of him. The other things you'll see in all the budgets are special pay. Just to answer the question before it comes up, because it might, all the officers we've got, it's a $500 sick leave utilization incentive, which we went with contract last year. Which, encourages them to, if it kind of encourages it, but if they don't use sick time or X number of hours of sick time a year, they get a $500 little spike stipend. So you'll see we budget for as if every single officer is going to have it. So you'll see that in there. That's why the numbers, the whole, all the officers, it likely will not be that number, or
Usually
probably
2 or
close to
3.
that. Usually 2 or 3 of them have it, but we do budget for all those. Also in the police budget, you'll see is under contracted services is animal control. This year, our animal control budget, or last year's, really, the contract's in there, but it's $21,000. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but that's what we pay for animal control services. We contract through Winterville County Animal Control. That is, and the breakdown, I think I've got the item in there. Yeah, dude, as an attachment, you'll see the invoice we received, which has a breakdown of how they calculate that animal control bill. So 21,000 is what we pay for animal control, and then you also see in there is CAG RMS, which we talked about, which actually is going down this year, I think, right? We're
Yes,
moving down on those.
yeah, we're just.
There's an upfront capital cost now, which is maintenance. We're at, that's $7,500 a year. And then the big one is our PSAP 911 center. So this is our contribution to 911 center is $55,000. So you'll see those in there as well as the breakdowns and the contracts. Those are on there. But those are a couple of things that are in the police one, just to be, they're on those.
What about your enterprise? Are you up for?
I believe we're at 140 a year. It's in here also.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, I believe.
Are you due for anything?
Rotation.
Are you due for anything in rotation?
So we just got 2 new admin cars. myself and Deputy Chief Admin Cars, and then I don't know if we're.
I think
don't
you're, do
think-
you have one maybe? in
We
the-
might be due for one patrol.
Yeah. I think this year you guys are set. I think it was next year you had a couple coming up. Their admin cars were up this year.
So we have a
We
meeting with
haven't
them.
had Enterprise in a while, so we have them come in.
Yeah, we absolutely can.
I'm sure the new trustees would like to know how that works.
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely.
How's
Um,
the, prices for that hotel up and does it go up again
for what?
or the, leases we have?
Those are based
Do
on
we
the market
renegotiate?
rate. So no, those are based on market. So we have a sort of master contract for enterprise. And then like in this case, well, the squad cars, or even like the admin cars over here, we just talked about, but, so there's squad cars. We have four in the fleet, four RAV4 hybrids. Because they were really good deals on them and then so the enterprise will give us like their idea of here's what's a good deal, here's what's good savings, and then what they think is a resale value for it. So that's why we don't have like electric cars here. Even though for like code enforcement, it'd probably be great mileage wise, because we're not driving that much, probably not for the police, but they don't have that sort of history on how long those hold their value, their returning values, the resale values. So it's an enterprise, we'll bring, they can explain it better, but we really they look at, when we need cars replaced, they look at what's on the market, lead times, right? For the police cars, that's a big thing. It's the lead times on purchasing those cars. Because they have upfitting they have to do. And I think that Sam's working with Enterprise right now to switch our upfitter. Because it takes them forever to get those working. Yeah.
Anywhere around.
Yeah, and like, Troy was mentioning, his are 3 or 4 years on those. So, yeah, so we work with Enterprise, way out in advance on what our needs are, how they're coming through, and then, if we have new ones, we'll bring them into the board, so. But yeah, all the departments have the same, I think it's lease vehicles, it's called, or fleet, it's called fleet vehicles in your budget, you'll see. So if you search by the object fleet, or the account number, just fleet in there, you'll see all of the accounts that have the fleet vehicles and the breakdowns.
And we are 100% fleet now. We have one
You
vehicle.
guys are, yeah,
We have that we use as a class car or to send to the academy, and the academy car, that's the only one that we own. And that's just an older sedan that was a squad car that got decommissioned. Otherwise, we're 100% now.
I'm gonna
They're Enterprise.
look at Enterprise also.
No, yeah, it'd be good to do that.
And then, do you have any, I'm trying to, do you have anything in the other general stuff you were dealing with? We've got some general training things in there for yours. We've got some employee retention things, recruiting, that's in your budget this year. So, and that's a small thing, right? We don't go out tons of recruiting, but it's the expenses that relate to the, LinkedIn posts or the GovHR postings or any of that, end of the year stuff, the word stuff we have, some of that kind of stuff all falls into the HR part of it. I think anything new we had in there really this year, not really anything. You don't see all this stuff, but village clerk, that's where our muni code is located in, the codification. So you'll see that under the codification is in the clerk's budget. And then there's just additional, general stuff in her, or there, I guess, I don't know who's gonna be. So you'll see those, but missing something on that. Village treasurer, so it's listed as village treasurer on your system still, that's what it has been, but they were switching it over to be called like essentially the finance department. Because it's more than just village treasurer, right? That's gonna be the audit. We do our audit contract actually ended this year, so we'll be going out for proposals for the audit. I know Mark is looking at that right now, and putting together some proposals or an RFP type thing. He's putting together for that, and he'll present that to you guys and talk to you about the auditors that we've used and why we want to why it's good, I guess, every couple of years to switch auditors. But Mark's got that, he'll be talking to you about that. But yeah, it's auditing and accounting. Our accounting software, our Casal system, that's our finance software that's in there, so you'll see that. And you'll see Mark's charges as treasurer.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
nobody has this open. Nobody's following along with
Yep,
this. No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I don't think that this is,
Productive.
everybody's
Okay.
done with this. Because I think we need to see it and walk through it
Sure.
rather than you're the one that's, I'm following along as
Yeah.
much as I can here.
We're just trying to hit highlights. that you wouldn't necessarily need to see, but we can,
But it doesn't
We're
mean
good to
anything if
go,
nobody
that's
knows
fine.
what they're looking at, right? I mean, we don't know, like, nobody has their computer open.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
because you're gonna wanna have in-depth look at this.
I know what he's talking.
Yeah.
I know I
The
lived
main
this
board
stuff
is,
for years.
Yeah, but
So-
nobody, but we don't know how to find it on here. We just got this on Friday.
Yeah.
I look over, see glazed eyes, and we're just going on and on and on. And you're looking at it, I'm trying to follow along. What I'm saying, there is a clear gov training here. It says Clear Gov Academy.
Yep,
Do we have access to that?
yes, yep,
There's training, there's tutorials. I mean, I wanna just see how to set up my views on this because it's not sort of the way I'd like to see it. So all that stuff would be helpful for us because we're gonna have various levels of different, and Mike doesn't have a computer. So I mean, he's just listening to this going. like,
well, Mike's gone along by.
Wait, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's, what I'm saying is.
143 trees.
We're gonna be doing it on here.
Take
So I think we should have training and, you know, I appreciate all the details, great, but I just don't think there's,
Yeah.
anybody's getting anything out of it.
That's fine. If everybody's done, where you can be done, that's fine with me. We were trying to hit some bigger points, but we can do that later. Do you guys want to do the capital budget next time then? Hey, look at it.
How about
And look
it?
at capital.
My suggestion is, let's go back to the bottom line as to what is spendable and direct them to the 22-23 items in the capital budget so that people have an idea of where they're going to spend $3,744,346.79. But really, it's not going to be that once you subtract the 3 projects we are already committed to.
Yes, yeah, it's in your, I mean, we can, I guess, I don't want me, yeah.
There,
What
there
questions or
there is,
like,
there is a
capital talk about
document,
that?
there's a document
Yep.
where the you know, the capital ones that Troy had listed,
Yeah, I seen all of
okay.
them.
But
Show
you're
us how
going to
get
have
there,
to
Joe.
go through and make a decision, a priority list here. Based on knowing how much you can devote to those. Because what do they amount to? Over $7 million and you have $264,197.
You can get to that page.
I'm trying to get to the reset part of it.
Okay.
This is on the link that, yeah, this is that link that got sent to you before.
Yeah, I'm gonna check my spam folder in case.
But yeah, I'll show you on the capital, I'll show you on the actual, in that email that got sent to you.
One of the 6.
Oh, for the budget, yeah, you got invited, you got your logins and you got invited to those.
Sometime last night, I got like 60
Yeah.
emails.
Yep.
I haven't had time to go through any of them.
Yep.
Password.
You only have to do it
Well, there are
once.
15.
You only need to do it
different
one
emails.
time, it's because those are all, every time I invite you to another thing to review. They'll all show up on your screen the same, but it sends you an invite. So this is the, you're not seeing that, so you're-
Spam folder, so if anybody else didn't get it, check there.
so this is the, I'm sorry,
No, is the easier way to access them.
It's just
in
click the
in
link.
folder. what you
I would
put in
just click the
folder.
link, yeah, click the link that was in that email. If you don't want to do the login part, that's fine too, this will be the same information. So if you click that link in the email, it'll bring you to this.
See, I'm getting a clear gov link, that link here, clear gov home. This is
Yeah,
my page.
that's what you need to see, yep, and everybody will see that right there, if they log in and create the password and do do
Right,
that.
and then from
If
there,
you don't, this is what you'll see.
all right, no, I'm there.
Yeah.
So where do we go?
Well, I'll show you, this is one, I'll start with this, the easy one, just click the link in your email, you get the 1-year capital plan. This is what you see, and this is, that 7.3 million is all of the project requests. So it includes 2 Main Street projects you'll see on there, 2 different ones. So all of them, so that number is sort of, that's an inflated number, but, so really what you need to look at is just, here's the listing out of all the different projects that we have. And if you go through there, you can see here, there's descriptions on all of them, residential roads, you would click on it, and you'll get the list of description of the project, costs, you'll get any attachments for it. There's residential roads that Brandon did. So this is the main one.
Flagged as like your suggestion, you said there's seven.
This is all of them.
It was three something.
Yeah,
There's
this
three
is,
that we are-
yep, I can show you a second.
But there are three that we are already tied to, the Bridge, Street parking lot, the Hodges Run development, and Porter Park Phase 2. Those three, total amount, $3,480,049.
Unless
So
they
if you sub-
downsize something, that's probably most of it.
Right, so if you
So-
subtract that from the, what's left here on this one page of maximum capital expenditures, you're down to $264,000 to use for 20 items.
And so what Mike was asking, so he's logged in as ClearGov. He created the password, went to his screen. He'll have on his and you'll have on yours, the side screen like this, you'll have capital budgeting and you'll have operational budgeting.
Right.
I have all the other stuff, then admin. So if you click capital budgeting, you will get something that looks like
Operational budgeting?
capital budgeting.
Okay.
You have to accept the.
I have to go to a different email and stuff.
Yeah. One
One of the other 15.
One other 15 can do. Every time you get a budget sent to you, give access to, it will invite you to it. Again, that's why you can also use that link into the public one that was there. But you'll be able to see, it's the same thing we just looked at. This is your view of it, it's your viewer. You'll be able to see all the different capital projects. You'll get to see, you'll get to see a list of all the different projects we have out there. So click same thing we just saw, you can click on it, you can go through those. In this dashboard view you have here, and this is what Carol was alluding to. You can sort by different request types that we have. You can click around through here, but we have committed ones, this is what we looked at the other day, but we have committed projects. These are the ones that we have to spend, right? It's Porter Park that we've got a contract for, it's Main Street we have a contract for, it's Hodges Run, right? These are the ones that we're committed to. We actually have those signed contracts we have to do. And then we've got priority projects, which are ones that we, as you know, part of the staff, at a staff meeting, we sat and walked through all outstanding projects and said, these are the ones we think should be done this year. Ones that Troy was talking about, what were you talking about? What did you have from this year? You had ones that we had,
The roofing.
the roofing, and then also the Woodland Park tennis courts was one. So that's in that committee, that's in the priority ones. Again, those are suggestions by staff. Those are not ones you're saying, we're not locked into, there's not contracts for. But if you see committed, or if you see priority, that just means ones that we sort of prioritized. Again, all your choices, decisions. And then future ones are ones that we've talked about that we think can be put forward to the future. I got filter on here, but are ones that are, don't have to come this year. Those are the ones, again, we talked about salt shed, right? It doesn't have to be done this year. We think it should be done probably in the next couple of years. So you'll see those, but really look at committed and priorities. Those are the ones to sort of look at, and that brings us about $4 million, but any sort of discussions on those. So you'll have that, and then that's the main dashboard to look at. And then I would also say probably you can look at the I'll go back up on this one so you can see what I just did. We have scenarios. Scenarios, I just got sort of
Initial request.
Yeah, these are ones we were sort of playing with, but the initial requests or the budget requests, these are ones where this is actually every single item listed here. So we don't have anything blocked off. The ones that have checked that add up to this number, this $3.7 million number, or sorry, the $3.2 million number. These are those committed ones and those ones that we think should be done this year that we probably should do. New logo for Village, $10,000. That's on here for ones we should do this year. But we've talked about that. Don't have to, we can take it out of that budget, but that's one that's listed on as a recommended one. So the one you click on that scenario and you see that initial request, you'll see that are generally what we think we should be doing. And then this is the remainder of all the rest of the stuff that we can sort of add in here. That adds up to that number we talked about initially, that what we can spend number. So, just another way of looking at it. Really, when you have a chance, look through those projects, sort of think about the projects you think are important. So you can click on to any of them. Copy, that's that one. Anything really. We've got Hodges Run. Here's Hodges Run. Right? Click on Hodges Run. You get the sheet. Here's Hodges Run. We can see here what the budget expenses are. That can probably, if we want to split it, it's something we talk about. If we want to phase it, if you think this is too much for 1 year, we can phase it. But you'll see things like that. So just look through those. Look through the quotes, the pricings.
Yeah, I'm having trouble, I'm clicking on your link to get to the budget, but going on to the actual homepage.
Yeah.
I don't see the connection to get through there. I think that.
Yeah, there's nothing on my toolbar. I can get through it, like he's saying, through the email.
Yeah.
But it's not on the actual toolbar. So
We're gonna have to have
operation.
training on this. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
have
it's fine.
extensive training on this, at least enough where we can walk through it. And understand this.
Yeah.
Um,
So all that public access link that you have does get you all this, but yeah, exactly. For those of you who want the more detailed access, I will absolutely use some time to walk through.
I think it's mandatory. We have to have, you cannot do this otherwise. We all have various levels of computer skills, ability to do things, and unless you know what we're looking at and can get to it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna help. So I think that's a priority, is to schedule training.
Yeah.
What I can access, and I appreciate all of it, because you can see how much work you put into this, and something that I've been trying to get for a long time.
No,
Get
it's
away from
great.
Excel. This is
Yeah.
a way better program. But like he's saying, we do, like,
You
at
want
least
to-
at our level, we
Yep.
do need to have that training. So we can see all the detailed stuff. I mean, the thing for the public's excellent. It's simplified, they can click anything.
I don't remember.
We just got this Friday.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
We haven't played
Yep.
around with it at
No.
all, but even so, even now, I have a ton of questions on how do I link to this, how do I get to this?
Yeah.
If, we had,
Yeah.
training, I think in-person training or
Yeah.
something like that is very helpful.
You're scheduling this, I'm here whenever, how do we want to schedule these training? I guess that's my question. Do you want to just come in, give us a call, come on
Send
in?
you an email, saying, hey.
I think that's
we're
probably the
available.
best. Like people are roughly the same time,
No,
we'll
I-
say, hey, we're available for it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard. I don't want to try to get everybody.
No, and people have different levels, and
Yeah.
people have different, I might need, 2 hours, and,
Yeah.
Sue, the whiz will have it done in 10 minutes. So, we'll get there.
Are you able to see more than one of us at a time?
If we're just doing
Just
direct out training, we're not discussing the budget. Yeah, I realize these trainings cannot be discussing the budget. We're doing the training for multiple
No, I
people.
just
I know
wanna-
that. I'm just saying it for the world, the record. So, but yeah, the training is fine.
well, two
We're gonna-
trustees consider
Direct,
you in
yes.
training, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We could even do WebEx,
We can do, yeah, absolutely.
All right, because I want to try to, be respectful of your time.
Yeah, no, I mean,
If me and Sue can come in at
no.
the same time while I'm off,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
You
Sue
should
will be
get two of
teaching
them.
the course.
Yeah, that's right, I'll be teaching.
So again, it's how detailed you want that too.
I mean,
But-
let's just use the right toolbar. I think I
Yeah,
figured everything
yeah.
else out.
Okay.
And are we gonna be able to comment on some of these other expenditures? I'm looking at some
And
things.
operationally.
Yeah, I
Yeah, absolutely.
looked at this for 2 hours either, when
Yeah.
I came over, and
Yeah.
there's some,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, that's what you need to do, either make a note on it, we talked about it here, use the comment thing, just write it out and talk through it. If you guys have the all of our itemizations, you see all the things that we see in here, so, what summaries are turned off, so you have the full work.
Didn't realize we're $8 million left.
Yep,
yeah,
How
I
many
spent
di-
I spent 2 hours just.
How many categories, how many things it takes to run the business?
maybe it's easier doing the spreadsheet here.
Is there any way
Prove this.
to move forward at least one computer right now? For Mike,
Digging this. or-
so
Yeah.
it doesn't have to come down here and get it printed off every time. You can also look at what we're looking at.
No, he's.
Yeah, once it changes, it's gonna be.
You'll find it a lot easier on a spreadsheet than you will on this right now, because we don't.
We drop it down trains.
But he should know, have the same training as
Yeah,
me too.
yeah.
Oh, you need a computer.
You never had it.
We're committed to this.
Or just die.
Do you
There's a
need
weird.
approval from us
Yeah,
to
we
get
can
him a
get one.
computer?
We
Okay.
can get one. We've got that.
If we could get one for him and
You don't know where it went.
I spent over 2 hours on it, just, I mean, all I did was click all over the world for 2 hours, just,
Personal.
yeah.
well, they can. It's within their spending.
We're not, exactly, yeah, it's just like the trustee ones are just gonna be. Yeah, well,
I'm using my. They can monitor it working.
You guys are real fun.
It's easy, I think that is from. All right, yeah. Questions? So I guess I would say, send me when you want to meet available, and we will get it set. Oh, yeah, I think we're here. Now it's all in the system, it's. Okay, so we're out there. Sorry, number 3, discuss recommendation of solicitation of proposals for the development of village-owned property at 11243 Main Street. I will turn it over to Christie Simon. You want to sort of read what you're looking for, or what you want to?
Yeah, I mean, we had David Sidney coming today, and it was a very good talk. Originally, when we met with him, we sat on his property, and there's interest in it, potential, and I don't see any harm of actually getting a sign out. I think we requested this in December. We actually had a schedule for it, and moving forward with the proposal. Talking to David Sidney today, he said that we probably did something, if we get it approved by March, we can get it out there, start moving forward with it. So I wanted to put it to a formal vote. Nick, need a whole.
Would you articulate exactly what the motion is or the vote? You spoke about a lot of things in your just statement. What is it?
To move forward with an RFP for the Leland property.
The sooner the better.
To do what?
Through David Sidney's group, place founder.
He said he could get on it right away. We have a developer that's sitting in front of us that is ready to go.
Well, what do you want to send to the board? Because that's all we can really do is send it to the board.
It's the very first time he spoke, he talked about an earlier RFP going out in the public meeting that he held.
In November.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact, and we knew about it then, we spoke about it then, and the graphic that he had in that meeting was a lot sooner than that. I like his plan, I like his RFQs, EBQs, whatever they all are. They're super, but we have a developer that's in front of us right now. And I know we'll be probably purchasing other properties, so the plan he has is great, but instead of waiting until this summer, and I also have, and we're learning from this parking lot that the sooner we start doing things in the spring, the better off we are. And I learned that when you said that, you know, if we're gonna do some of these things, you know, it's in front of us, we've been sitting on it forever. He can obviously put something together that gets us started sooner than later.
What is it that you would ask him to put in? Now you're saying an RFP as opposed to the RFQ. So we heard with the RFP, we have to be very specific of what we are asking the developer to do.
Correct.
So help me understand, what is it that you want the developer to develop or build there? An entertainment center, a restaurant center, a housing
Yeah, like I
development?
explained in a previous meeting, we have a developer that wants to put a restaurant there. And a parking lot and another business that I'm not gonna name. We already know
We
that's
did a
in front of us.
motion.
A motion
adopt
to
the plans
Advertise.
that-
Well, that's
or
two
the
different things.
I'm just saying that if we want this to get going this year, let's get started on this. The developer's been simmering for for months.
An RFP to open up for solicitation for commercial development on that
And
property.
he told us he could put something, and I don't want to use the word quick together, but he said he could put something together, and I'm just going by his previous plan, whenever the November, December meeting was. It's. By the time we finish this process, you're not gonna have anything built this year.
Or the interest may wane.
You're not.
There may be.
You're not. By the time we do soil, by the time we do engineering, by the time we do
Somebody goes. to
stand on our heads, by the time we do all this stuff, it's gonna be October, and you're not gonna be able to put a piece of asphalt on the ground or do anything. And we're gonna roll through another year sitting on that property with somebody that's ready to go. And I don't know if we have developers, coming in every day. I don't know that. I highly doubt we do. But we have somebody here that has the funding, that has told us, and I explained to you guys, that he'll build to our satisfaction. He'll build to our drawings. I don't know who else is gonna do that.
I just want to know, what do our drawings look like? What is our satisfaction? I get in concept, but we've not had in the conversation here about exactly what's going to be there.
Great. You reiterate the point that if we haven't even done that yet, we should be doing that now.
Right, and that's the content of the RFP. So it's like,
But
what comes
There's
first?
also an opportunity cost. So to me, I say, why not have this out there, see what a solicitation and whatever the bid is, or whatever the proposal is. We can look at it as a board and either accept it or not, but unless you open that up, you can't do that.
Can we adopt his proposed timeline? If I do that from you present tonight, the presented timeline tonight, I can pull that up, but,
I don't like his timeline.
okay. What timeline?
Well, Sue also had the suggestion of marketing. So we have two different things here, marketing for everybody, or an RFP. Do both simultaneously, put the sign up and you market it.
I did say the sign. That would be marketing.
So for me, I didn't make all of our meetings do the high work volume this year, for our special meetings anyway. What in depth, the difference between an RFP and an RFQ, from what I heard from David Sidney tonight, an RFP, we essentially have to have plans and say, okay, yeah, you can build that there. And an RFQ gives more of a
Right.
broader thing you're saying, where a developer comes in and says, this is what I'd like to do. So what, I mean, in order to follow what, well, Sydney's doing for us, which works better, and what's the difference? Is an RFP faster, or is an RFQ
The
faster?
timeline will pass around the RFP.
The committee of the whole language says.
Which I don't understand.
Solicitation of proposals, right?
Right.
That's what it says. It's a solicitation of proposals.
Mhm.
So.
I guess I don't understand why an RFP would be faster if we have to actually put an envision there where.
Then why don't we just say we're opening up that lot for proposals, simple as that.
Yeah, I don't. I forget, I
And
don't
that
understand the term. of-
Proposal is
Proposals.
selling the land to the developer. And then the developer put something up that appeals to us.
If that's what we want, yes.
I don't have an issue with the property being developed at all. I just, like I said, in working with David Sidney's company and all that, how does it all tie in? And like I said, when the RFPs were talked about, obviously I wasn't there because I don't know the difference between all that,
That's the first time I've heard RFP, RFQ tonight.
And-
Well, that's what I meant, like,
Yeah, I'm like, what was that
I'm
all
like, okay,
about?
well, why is
Well, I
one
would
faster,
agree.
but requires way more detailed work, in my opinion?
Yeah, it seems
Locking
like the
down,
queue is
but-
really what we want.
Yeah,
Yeah, to me, it was more broad, a queue was more broad in his
Right.
description.
Less
Oh.
initial clarifications on specific project proposals. And I think that's why, we want to see what people are offering. We have one offer, we throw it out there, we see if there's any more, and then we can move. They can propose theirs, if anyone else has it, we move forward, so.
And the only thing we're
RFQ.
asking for is moving the timeline up. That's what we're asking for, Stacy, to start this.
So we just want to send it out for RFQ then.
Or whatever allows us to get just proposals submitted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say, I don't want to guarantee it's RFQ, I know what you want, you want somebody to be.
Yeah, I'm just
Open
reading
up for
from his
proposals
thing,
coming
and
in.
his thing
As
says.
soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
developer
guess, do we
wants to know
need what he needs to come to
We
the
at least
table with.
need to
Well,
tell
If
developers.
we go out for an RFQ, he comes with his idea.
He brings his
He
proposal,
brings his
which is
idea.
what he's already kind of done, so it should be easy for that one. If there's any others, we'll get those, so let's set a deadline of however long and get as many as we can.
Yeah, the request is to start this as soon as possible. If we have to take this through to the committee of the whole, move it to the village board, and then we can say, okay, we're gonna open it up March 1, then we'll do it March.
I'm just afraid that it's gonna sit for another year doing nothing. Again, when we have somebody that's
That's,
eager to work with us and to kind of do what we want that person to do. I think it's fantastic that a developer has come to us and said, I will build it how you want it to look. Well, then we sit down with Sydney and start a look. But I don't think you're gonna get a lot of developers walking through the door saying, well, you know, how do you want me to, build it like this? You know, that's pretty special.
Well, do we need to give them ideas or are they gonna come with their own, like,
RFQ, they come with their own.
right?
RFP, we have to designate it.
That's a-
So that's why I think an RFQ would be better, because then we can just get a broad variety of input.
Right,
We can get this one, we could get A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
There may be something we like better, we may like this one, but it seems more open.
so can I put a motion forward? Do we start it, we submit, move to the board, the opportunity of an RFQ, publicly out by March 1st?
Second,
All right, you wanna do earlier?
Well, we have to go to the other. committee.
We have to hire him and do it, but yes, we can have him bring a proposal tomorrow, our board meeting. Then you can say the March 1st, where was that, Brian? You
It's
can,
January 21st.
Okay.
It's 28 days in February.
can we have this at our board meeting next week,
2 weeks.
our special meeting, can we vote on it then?
yeah, I mean,
Move
we'll
that
have him bring a
process.
proposal to the board.
That way it gives them more time to work on it.
I mean,
If we-
he's gonna have time to like
if
put
we
the
approve it.
proposal for us to hire him, yeah.
All right, so the proposal is to get an RFQ out for March 1st through David Sidney. I would like to propose we send it to the village board.
Second.
Well, they already got it.
Good.
we just need roll call.
So, you want this on the special
On the
meeting
agenda.
agenda,
Special
or
meeting agenda for next week. 20.
whatever, that's sorry. Page 20.
Ready? Here or yes?
Yes. Platt,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Valco,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Missed me on the other.
I did. Sorry. Do you wanna,
Yes.
okay. I'll fix it.
I got number 4, so we'll try to get that for next meeting, or next week. I should say.
It's laid over.
What? No, it was everything. Sorry. Next, number 4 is the discussion recommendation of issuing a special use permit for the continued operation of an auto body repair business at 5144 Edith Lane. This was at ZBA. When was it ZBA last? Two. Yeah, 2. You have the staff report in there. This is so special use permits, essentially there's a zoning thing that allows you to do a certain sort of pre-approved type of a use, but where we want to have a little more oversight on it. We used to do a lot more of the expirations on these, especially for body shops or for used car dealerships. This is a body shop. This is Arnell Auto, continued, been there for quite some time. A new owner bought it, the Sadler purchased the property. When we were going through the zoning clearances for the state of Illinois, because some of this requires state approvals, we were discovered that the special use permit actually was expired at that point. So when the board previously put approved the special use of a auto body shop on there, there was a 10-year expiration date on that. So it's been 10 years since it was approved. So in order for us to approve the zoning and allow her to continue to operate her business, we have to request a new special use permit be issued to allow her to physically actually operate an auto body shop on that particular property. So that's what this is. Obviously, it's been reviewed by zoning, the ZBA. It's really just a renewal. It's the same business. It's been there for many years at this point. There were a couple sort of issues that we came up when we were reviewing it. The property is actually split across 2 parcels. The business is actually over 2 parcels. So one of the conditions that our zoning consultants are recommending is that as part of the approval, they combine those 2 parcels together. And you'll see that there's a map in your packet that sort of shows how those are split there. It's just sort of odd little part there, but again, it's been there for quite some time. It's been operating. And then the other part of it is that she'll have to have that paved. You'll see also in that photo that the far east side of it is actually, but the far east side of it is actually.
Is it on Clear Grove?
Is that down the street from XL Gear?
Yes, it's over that way.
Yep, okay.
So this is the property here. So this
You
is
have to be
the,
lost to find it.
this is the split parcel. And then what you'll have to do, because our code requires it, is you'll have to pave this parcel here as part of the approval. But those are the only 2 restrictions. The board, you can, if you'd like, put a expiration on the special use permit that we have in the past. This last one was for 10 years. That's not a recommendation at this point by our zoning staff or by staff. But absolutely your prerogative to do so. Just because it's been in operation for such a long time, there've been no issues with it, there's been no problems with it, and the location is sort of off, away from the public, from industrial area. And we have not had any issues with that operation of that business there. Another odd thing too is that the fact this north side of the parcel is actually not in. And this is the other thing we're working on too, is that this is actually, this parcel here, the road actually goes across into the private property. And it was never dedicated apparently to the village when it was platted. And so the back drive of this property over here is actually going on private property and then back in. So we were actually working with the owner of the big parcel here, which you don't have to zoom out here, but this big parcel here, we're working with that owner, and actually they're going to do is transfer this spot to the village, dedicate this to the village, just do a simple dedication plat for it. And then we'll actually have that will be village roadway, which we've already always acted like it and been treating it as village roadway, but it will actually be village roadway, making this fully connected, this parcel. So that is what we're asking for, just approval of a special use permit for RNL Body for continued operations of a body shop.
So moved.
Second.
The motion to who? Who said it first?
Me. No.
Give it to my.
Okay.
The honorable
Josh, we can have second.
All right, plan for roll call.
Babcock,
Yes.
Elko,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Next item is public comment, any public comment? And presentations are none, closed session, none. We have a motion to adjourn,
I have an executive session.
okay,
Motion to adjourn.
are you being serious?
Yes, I am.
Okay, motion to go to closed session by trustee Wright, for what purpose?
Land
Acquisition of land or sale of land?
land project that's being proposed.
I'll second it.
Wait a minute,
It needs to be one of those two though, I
it
guess,
has to be purchase or sale.
purchase or sale. Or both.
Project
You would
is
say
a
both, I
public-
suppose, purchase and sale of land.
Well, it could be purchase, village.
You put both those words in. How about purchase and sale of purchase of land and sale of land?
Did we get a second?
Yes.
All right.
Roll call, please.
Petty,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Malco,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Babcock.
Yes.
We're in closed session at 9:38 p.m.
Good breakfast. So. They hear.
Give me the money.
Motion to go back into open session.
I'll move.
Motion by Flock, second by
Second.
Babcock. Roll call.
Babcock,
Yes.
Delacote,
No,
Betty,
Yes. Oh, did I tell you?
Yes.
Syra.
Yes, you're.
Now, well, break it.
All right, no action taken in closed session. Motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
All in favor? All opposed?
nay.
Adjourned at 10:10 p.m.
My day tomorrow.
If you go long enough, it will be
You got a
tomorrow.
cot back there, don't you?
We'll be tomorrow.